Hello everybody, I'm George from Ireland, so welcome to Georgia. No, not the USA, the Republic of Georgia. And so when the devil went down to Georgia, he didn't come here. So here I am in Freedom Square in Tbilisi, which is the capital city. Tbilisi, as every child can tell, meaning hot waters, because there's some thermal baths I must go to later on. Anyway, a lot of this square dates to the Tsarist era. Georgia's been a distinct nation for over 2,000 years, one of the earliest Christian nations. It's got a unique alphabet, and perhaps curiously, in the Soviet era, the Soviet government did not insist that they change their alphabet to a Cyrillic one. Only this country and Armenia escaped that. So there are only 5 million people in Georgia, and they're very keen to keep their language going, but quite a lot of people speak English because they were sacked by the Mongols. They were annexed by Iran, Persia as we called it in those days, and then they became part of the Russian Empire from the Treaty of Gulistan, when the Iranians and the Russians divided the southern Caucasus between them. And so they became independent again in 1991. So this square, Freedom Square, go back to 1938, it was called Lavrentiy Beria Square. Beria was himself a Georgian, had been a Menshevik. The Mensheviks were quite strong here in the Caucasus. In the Tsarist era, when people were political dissidents, they were exiled either to Siberia or Georgia, so it became a real haven for liberals and socialists. So the Mensheviks were a type of socialists when the Russian Social Democratic and Labour parties split in about 1904. The Bolsheviks were the other faction, who later became the communists. Anyway, so go to the Russian Civil War, which spread into Azerbaijan, and there was the Baku Soviet in Azerbaijan, and the Mensheviks were part of that. But anyway, when the Red Army conquered that area, one of the Menshevik leaders was Lavrentiy Beria, and so he narrowly escaped execution. His name was taken off an execution list by Sergei Kirov, who was a leading Bolshevik from the Urals region. But Lavrentiy Beria, he then rose very high in the Communist Party, eventually being head of the People's Commissariat of Internal Affairs, the secret police from 1938 onwards. And like Stalin, a Georgian, Stalin was obviously Josip Vissarionovich Djugashvili, but he changed his name to Stalin, as in has steel. Beria, like Stalin, spoke flawless Russian, but with a noticeable Georgian accent. Anyway, so he was Stalin's witchfinder general, and he was sending people in their millions to slave labor camps, and he was murdering hundreds of thousands of people. That's a conservative estimate. One of the main terrorists against Georgian nationalism had this square named in his honor, but then he was executed 9 months after his patron Stalin was killed. Incidentally, the guy who'd saved Beria's skin was himself assassinated on Stalin's orders in the early 1930s because he was seen as too much of a rival. Popular, the first secretary of the Communist Party in Leningrad, or Moscow as it now is. So anyway, this is sort of the focal point of the city, and the city just sits astride a river, and it comes down into a deep valley from the steep mountains which rise very abruptly on either side of the city. And then you can see, look, St. George slaying the dragon atop that column. So everything's in quite good nick. I'm glad they've kept a lot of the cobblestone. They're big into learning English. Georgian is the only official language, though. You know, most people older than myself speak Russian, often really well. Some of them refuse to do so. I've heard of people saying hi in Russian and getting a bad reaction, seen some anti-Russian graffiti. Anyway, the underpasses to get across here, and lots of little shops down there. So if you go over there and to the right, that's Rustaveli Avenue, one of the main streets, as I'm sure you know, named after that renowned Georgian medieval poet who wrote about the knight in panther skin. Okay, and then you'll see the Georgian flag flying everywhere. So it's a very misty day. It's not particularly cold. It was like 9 degrees the other day, but it felt much warmer than it would in Ireland and Great Britain because, well, apart from today, it's not too rainy and there's very, very little wind because we're well inland. What can I say? So lots of things to see, and plenty of restaurants with menus in English, stuff like that. Anybody in the tourist sector will speak English. They're big into learning it. That or other Western languages like French, German, Spanish. When I was here 12 years ago, going to the railway station, trying to purchase a ticket back to Baku, and the woman there didn't speak English. Her foreign language was Spanish, so you had to conduct the transaction in that language. You look at the bus, see the front of the bus? See, it's the Georgian alphabet there, 33 letters, so that is unique. Anyway, what was I going to say? So, highly recommended. Things about a quarter the price of what there would be in Ireland. And you can come here if you're a European Union citizen for a year without a visa. Even South Africans can come here without a visa. Springs told me we need visas to go anywhere at all. Anyway, the street goes down here, curves to the right towards the river, and there's the dry bridge you go across, and that's over a major road, not over that. So going up the funicular, there's also a cable car to the top of a mountain. Yeah, and anything else I should say about Georgia? So, from Ireland or Great Britain, there are no direct flights to go by other countries, usually Turkey. It's Georgian Airlines, doesn't fly to those countries. And anything else, you can see from the quality of the cars, actually not that much of a poor country, come on a lot. The price has risen a lot since the beginning of the war in Ukraine. Lots of some Ukrainians came, but mostly Russians to evade conscription. So still a haven for Russian liberals. Saw an anti-Putin demonstration yesterday. Well, that's about all. So please come to Georgia. I'll tell you more interesting things when I can walk around. They've got marvellous cuisine, and they've got their own fantastic wine, known for being outstanding singers. So it's a bit like the Welsh of the former Soviet Union, compared to the British Isles. Okay, thank you very much for watching my channel. Please subscribe and donate on PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. Toodle pip.